I have built a 45H aquarium a couple of years ago, and I really liked it because the roots were covered by moss. In the background you had the what's the name of the long plant? Cyperus helferi. And I liked it so much that I want to build it at home. But before I build it at home, I'm going to do a home tech build rehearsal today. And you guys are going to be part of that. So this tank is a 60p aquarium, and I'm going to build the same kind of layout with the same kind of concept. Welcome to the beautiful world of aquascaping. So let me tell you what I did so far. I started to build the structure from this one piece. And then finally I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces glued together. And then after I finish gluing them together with the fast fusion compound, I'm gonna do this for the whole beginning of the video, I actually started to glue them onto the petrified wood stones because I don't want that to float up. And now, if I hold this together, the hardscape is in one piece. Easy to maintain. The only issue is that I had to do it outside the aquarium, and for some lucky reason I just managed to get this exactly 60 centimeters for the 60p aquarium, so it fits perfectly. I already tried it. And I turn it towards me. I want to see if I want to complicate it a little bit more with other root structures that add some depth to this layout. What if I put it like that? So if I add this wood in the back, then this wood is like being diminished a little bit. I didn't like this vertical part, so the whole system is changed a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm applying the fast fusion compound in between the two wood pieces, and I'm applying the liquid super glue on top. Next up is plants. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 bags of Vesicularia ferriei, which is weeping moss basically. And that one portion will be distributed and tied around this, well, not this, probably all of them. So all of them will be covered in moss. So I found 2 threads. One is moss cotton, it's written on it. The other one, this is terraline. For moss, you're supposed to use moss cotton because the moss will attach itself to the wood. The terraline is not decomposing out of water, so it's going to survive for a long time. So actually, I'm going to use terraline for now because I want it to be very stable in the long run. Before you start attaching the moss, spray the whole thing with water, because if the wood is wet, you're going to have an easier job. Gonna use a ton of moss. I'm messing with the moss, but I'm done making moss jokes, guys, because we had too many in one of the previous videos when we did it with Gary. We're all moss ready. Aquascaping master class. If you moss around, this is what happens. Chris Moss is coming, the master of aquascaping. I must go home early today. You guys are seeing the back of the layout, so I'm taking care to put enough moss everywhere in here so that it is uniform and it's visible from many sides. So this is one branch, and I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 branches. So let's go on to the second one, which is the right one here. What we wouldn't do for you guys. That is my brother George. He has the same voice like I do. Say George.
George.
There you go. For the fish, maybe I want erythromicron or hengeri, I'm not sure. Something like colorful and reddish that would accentuate the red colors of the fish. Let's just cut it. And let's tie it. Good. Do I need to actually do this part? Is it going to visible? Where is this aquarium at? There. So it's more visible from this side. So that is a problem there. So always take into consideration the angle from which you actually see the layout, because that will determine the way that you plant and the way that the hardscape is visible. I never wanted to have an issue with tips pointing towards us. That looks a little bit aggressive if you just leave it like that, and I don't like aggressive at all. This is supposed to be calming and soothing and nicely executed. Now as I get towards the bottom of this, it's getting more difficult to push down the line, so I really struggle to have it in a good angle. Basically fine, except one part is missing on the top. Green line in green moss, in green aqua. So let's get to the last one. Oh, come on. I'm going the other way around. Let's open the last. Did I calculate it right or didn't I? Weeping is always better on wood. Weeping grows downwards, so it's much more natural to be seen on wood. Okay, so let's get rid of the excess shoots. What I'll do is I'll just trim everything that overhangs, because we don't want that to interfere and look ugly when I put it underwater. I have to decide what kind of epiphyte plants I want to use this. I've got 6 pots of Anubias, barteri, Petite, and I've got 3 of the mini coin. This is the easiest plant cleaning I've ever done. It's so new that it didn't attach itself to the rock wool. What I'm doing is I'm just, pushing it into the crevices, into the cracks, and it will live perfectly there. This is going to be a green-only scape, so I'm not going to use any of the brownish bucephalandras on it for sure. A big bunch to the middle. I like that. I need like 1 or 2 more of that. So the only issue is that right there, as you can see, we have like a whitish spot, which I don't really like, and I'm thinking about covering that with the mini coin, and I will use the gel type super glue to just fasten that there, and that will make it disappear. Okay, this is working nicely. I kind of like how it turned out to be. So ladies and gentlemen, the main part is ready. I will have to decide whether I want to use and what kind of carpeting plants I want to use. I will need to put this into the aquarium, and I want to know whether I want to fill it up with soil before I start putting in anything, or I should just put sand on the bottom and then let the structure stand on the top of the sand. The other aquarium that I used had soil in it, and we planted in it, and I think it had sand in the foreground. Did it? I will put this into the tank and see where we go. I want to add this rock on the left side of the aquarium. Maybe this rock is, yep, this is much better on this side. I will continue with even smaller ones to the end. I don't need to be very strong with that because it's only fixing it a little bit. There's like a crevice in the middle, which is really cool. If I could stop anything getting in there and I could just leave like an empty spot there and fill it up with sand so that the sand goes below the structure. But then I would have to stop it from mixing with the clay-based soil, which will be used in the 2 sides of the aquarium. I have this lava stone perfect for closing the gap. I'm going to use the ADA Power Sand Basic S 1 liter bag to add some base layer fertilizing substrate for the Cyperus helferi plants. I don't even use a lot of it because the soil will not be very high and I don't want that to contaminate the water. And then comes the ADA Amazonia version 2. Next one is the sand. I can pour in behind because I've got an opening there. Zoom. You really want the sand to go all the way to the level of the rocks in the background. So I kind of want to elevate it a little bit towards the back, and I definitely don't want to have more than ½ centimeter to the front. There you go. It's in. Now the detailing. I was lucky to have a couple of stones at my disposal that I could actually use. See how important detail is? It immediately changes style. Now we need some more epiphyte plants as division between the two. I will put one Anubias here on the left side and one to the right side, which is not really by the book. I should find out what kind of plant I want to use in the foreground into the soil. Actually, because everything is dark green, I think Monte Carlo would be nice. Let's go to the other side. I need another row of this guy because I will only use one row of Cyperus helferi. And let's move on to the Cyperus helferi. Need bigger tweezers for that too. Let's plant from the center towards the right side. Look at that road. So this needs base layer fertilizing substrate. How it changed it, right? Huge plant, it changed it immensely. I could use some Anubias mini coin and just, tie it onto some pebbles and put it in there, because right now there's not enough detail in the foreground. I'm going to leave that open for now, and I will think about what to use there later on. So I think that the planting session and the hardscape session is done for this. Let me know what you think. Did it turn out better or worse than the 45H aquarium? And stay tuned, because you're going to see whether I chose indeed the small, what is this? The shoot there. Very interesting. I never knew that this would do that. So anyway, I'm contemplating whether to use the erythromicron or whether to use the hengeli rasboras. You will see. So here we are 1 minute later, but in real time it was a month, and the elephant in the room, the background has disappeared. I got rid of all the Cyperus helferi. I didn't like the bulkiness, the shadow of it. It was just too much in this aquarium, and I replaced it with regular Vesicularis, which will still grow. So I'm waiting for it to grow up to the top. And this is officially one of the cleanest layouts that I have made recently, minus the very small algae that I see on the grass in the background, but that's gonna go away. And then we introduced a third type of fish, the espei, in it, which is actually great colors, complement the layout perfectly, and it's very close to the hengeli that I originally wanted, so I'm happy about that. Some Green Aqua team members told me that they're missing some details from the foreground, but with this kind of aquarium, I quite like the fact that the foreground is minimalist. I know that there are no details, and this wouldn't pass for a contest tank, but the cleanness of the sand, the cleanness of the Monte Carlo in the back, and also the cleanness of the straight lines and the fluffiness of the moss are complementing each other perfectly. So I quite like how this thing looks like. Except the color of the drop checker, which is like bluish, but it's 1040 right now, and we had a big maintenance session in the morning. The CO2 was switched on after the maintenance session, so the color will be fixed. And while talking about the CO2, I quite like this Poland glass, ADA Poland glass diffuser, which is really sexy in this aquarium, and it matches this 60p layout perfectly, and it has very small bubbles, so a good quality diffuser is recognized by having the very small bubbles that come out of it, which is more efficient CO2 dissolving in this aquarium. All in all, I'm quite happy with this. Would I build this aquarium at home? Hell yeah! I do hope that you guys like this build. You can watch the 45H aquarium build that has a similar layout in there. And this is a big rehearsal for my home aquarium. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.